hard and soft skills for project managers. My name is Guilherme, and I'm a project management expert. I teach professionals to become successful project managers. Before I forget, this content here is part of the warm up of the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit is going to be a free event I'm going to make where I'm going to teach you how to further develop your project management skills, even if you don't have project management experience, even if you don't have any type of project management training, and even if you are not even working with project management right now. Of course, if you are already working with project management, that also is going to be useful for you. It's a free event. Everything is free. Only thing that you need to do here, click in the link and subscribe. There I'm going to share the email with all the details, with the links, extra downloadable material, and if you complete everything there, you also get a certificate in the end. So if you want to develop your project management skills and already you can start the year with the right foot, that's an event for you there. So what I'm going to talk about again, and of course, don't forget to like and share this video here because it helps more people to learn about project management, but also you help me, you help my channel to grow, and I'm going to appreciate that a lot. So let's talk about hard and soft skills. So what I'm going to do here, of course, I need to explain first to make sure that you understand what's a hard skill and what's a soft skill, and I'm going to talk about that on the project management context there. So let me first start by explaining what's a hard and soft skill. So let me quickly share my screen here. Okay, so here you see hard and soft skills. Let me first start from what's the difference between them. Well, usually a hard skill, it's like a technical skill. It's a specific technical skill that you can measure that helps you, of course, to perform, to execute tasks. One examples of hard skill for project management, for project managers, creating business case, managing business case, cost management, schedule management, data analysis, problem solving, risk management, all those they are hard skills. Why hard skill? Well, because it's pretty straightforward to measure if you know how to create a business case. You can do that in practice. Like I can give you an Excel and ask you to create a business case. The same for analytical type of skills. So those are technical skills that you need to perform to execute the job. Usually, you get those technical skills by with education, training, or of course with experience. And those kinds of things, it's hard skills that are usually easier to measure. How you can measure your hard skill? Well, you can do an exam, you can do a test to prove that you know something. Same thing, make an analogy here. If you say, I have one of my hard skills here is to use Microsoft Project. Well, I can assess that to you. I can give you a case and ask you to create a timeline for that. That will showcase if you know how to use MS Project or not. So you can do that with training, certifications, and of course practice. That's of course pretty obvious. What's the difference between a soft skill? Soft skill it's more a personal attribute. That's more like interpersonal type of skills. So of course you also need them to get the job done. Depending on the type of job, if you have like if you are a programmer, if you want to code, you need to have very good hard you need to have hard skill to create a software or to code to write a software down. And of course, if you're not interacting with anybody, this hard skill is enough. But if you are interacting with anybody, and that's the case of a project manager, you need to develop soft skills. What are soft skills for project management? Communication, teamwork, emotional intelligence, adaptability, leadership. What's the difference between a hard skill and a soft skill? Usually, it's pretty difficult to measure a soft skill up front. For example, if you look for a job description, you're going to see that, do you know how to use Microsoft Project? You say yes or no, and if they have a chance, they can just give you a case and ask you to solve it. That will confirm that you know how to use a tool. Same thing for Excel, for schedule management, for cost management. If you understand a business case, I'll just ask someone to explain. Can you explain me what's P&L, profit and losses, how the profit and losses calculation works? That's a hard skill there. So it's very easy to assess. A soft skill, how you're going to say if someone is a good communicator. Usually you need a bit longer to understand this. How you're going to say if someone is a upfront. What's if someone is a good team player? Only working with them. So it's much more difficult to measure and to assess those kind of things. That's of course why you look when you look for job descriptions. Usually in a job description you have a mix of hard skills that are easier to assess, and of course you always have a bunch of soft skills, but are very very difficult to assess, even in an interview, because you can have a feeling on that one, but it's impossible, of course, to say if someone is a good leader based on a 1 or 2 hours interview. But keep that in mind. Usually, to develop soft skills, you are going to need experience, practice, feedback, and then you need reflection and so on. One, for example, hard skills, they're sometimes they're more less transferable. For example, if you use Microsoft project and you go for a company that they are going to use Jira, well, your hard knowledge on Microsoft project might not be useful using Jira, for example. Why? The tools are going to be different. The way the tools look like it's different. If, for example, if you use SAP and if you want to use Oracle, they are going to be different. How the system looks, they're different. So a hard skill sometimes it's much more localized, and a soft skill, on the other hand, how where you're going to use communication everywhere, regardless of the industry and what you're doing. So those soft skills are highly transferable there. And of course, what's important. So hopefully right now you understand what's a hard skill and what's a soft skill. Something that's very important to understand that those things are complementary, because a lot of times you talk about project managers and I've seen people saying, yeah, you need to have a very good soft skills, but without the hard skills you cannot do the work. For example, I've seen project managers trying to showcase their soft skills. They're trying to motivate the team, they're being nice with the team, but they cannot make decisions and they cannot prioritize. Why? Because decision making and prioritization will be supported by your hard skills. If you have good problem solving skills, analytical skills, if you understand what's going on with your timeline, if you understand what's going on with your budget. But if you do not understand your timeline, if you do not know how to manage your schedule, you are going to have trouble also to execute your job as a project manager. And only communicating well, that's nice, that's very important, but you need also to have the content how to communicate it. You need to understand how you're going to be a good leader. Yes, a good leader is supporting the team, but also as a project manager, you need to be there to add value for the team. So, what's the worst kind of project management in my perspective? One of the worst, that's of course, is the one that never know what's going on. This type of person can even have some good soft skills, but if you say, okay, if you don't know how to do it, if you don't know how to guide the team, just be nice and try to motivate your team so you have some soft skills, that will not help you. So to be successful as a project manager, you need to combine both. What's the challenge when you talk about soft skills and hard skills? There, if you look for technical training on project management, there's a lot of trainings that you can do out there. You can do a training to understand, okay, what's the PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge. You can do a training on waterfall. You can do a training on planning, schedule management. You can do a training on budgeting and how to manage a business case. You can do a training on Excel if you want. You can do a training on Word or any other type of tool that you want. But the number of trainings that talk about soft skills, they're less. And what's the challenge with the training with the soft skills? You need to have some type of follow up, some type of support after the training. Because, of course, different from a hard skill where you're going to be able to fully exercise your hard skill in a training. For example, I have a training for that helps people to develop their planning skills with MS Project. So I have some case. Okay, I want to plan. I have a case. Say I want you to plan this case here. For example, That's an industry. They are building a new building. They are implementing a new manufacturing line. I want you to create a plan for this type of project. So you're going to be able to exercise that on a MS project based on, of course, on the case, on the assumptions, and so on. But if I tell you that, okay, during a situation, your emotional intelligence, it's important that you get awareness, that you keep your presence to avoid that you are overreacting to something that someone says to you. I can tell you that, of course, in a training, but it's much more difficult to assess how you are going to implement this in practice. But that's, of course, why it's so important to develop your soft skill. You have feedback. You have feedback from your team. You have feedback from your leaders, from your peers, but also you have like a self-assessment. And of course, based on those feedback and self-assessment, you can understand and you can think about how you're going to take your next steps. So this is very important for you that are looking to further develop your career. And I've seen a lot of people focusing on developing hard skills, which of course everybody understands, but not everybody understands the importance to have also the soft skills. If you're a bad leader, you can have all the hard skills that you want, that you possibly can, but you're not going to be able to be successful as a project manager. Why? Because if you need to do something with a team, you need to lead your team. If you're a bad team player, meaning that you want to micromanage your team, that you don't want to share information with your team, that you keep blaming other people when things go wrong, well, if you say, but I'm very good on controlling my business case, I'm very good in controlling my costs, only that does not work. And here I'm talking about project management or to be a project manager, but in general it's going to be for everything. For example, some time ago, I was working in a company as a project manager, and there was someone there that this person was responsible to kind of follow through the invoicing process with the suppliers. And in one of the main suppliers of my project, I noticed that supplier was sending us an invoice with some extra taxation there. And of course, there was a mistake because there was a benefit there, so the taxation should be lower and so on. What's the problem with that? This extra taxation creates an extra cost for the project because in this case was a type of tax that's non-credible there if the company was paying there. What's the problem with the person that was doing that? I was telling him, hey, there's a mistake here. We need to go with the supplier. We need to align with the supplier to avoid that we have this extra cost. The extra cost at the time was the tax was 5.65% of the cost of the project of the supplier invoice. What's the problem with that? That the person just ignores me. Then I talk with him. Then I talk with his manager, and he just decided that he would not do that. Why I'm giving this example? This person was a very good with Excel in creating reports and creating overviews with the control, but he was a horrible team player because he was saying, "That's my job. I don't care about the result." See, very nice that you have this type of hard skill that you can create a very nice report on Excel and so on, but you are forgetting here the soft skills to work with a team to communicate properly. Also, to understand, to have a broader view than what you are doing is a bit more than what you are doing. So the goal of every project manager is to add value because the ultimate goal of any project is to create value. If you forget about the value that needs to be created there, that's kind of a view, that a holistic view, if you want to call it like that. It's much more like a soft skill than a hard skill. And in this case of the example, the person I just mentioned, what he was doing, okay, he put it in the report, he created a report, he updated the controls, and that's it. But what's the goal of having a good control? What's the goal on what you're doing? Of course, making sure that you are paying the right amount of money for the supplier, making sure the supplier get paid, but also make sure that the project does not have extra cost. So that was a big soft skill problem that this person had. And you're going to find in your career all type of people there. with good soft skills, with bad soft skills, with good hard skills, with bad hard skills. What's important also for you to understand? You can develop both. I think, I don't know when, probably 1 year ago, I was teaching a project management class when you talk about emotional intelligence, leadership, and a lot of stuff. And suddenly someone asked me, "But why you're talking about leadership? This is something that cannot be taught. Or either you're born a leader or not." Well, first, if you're wondering that, yes, leadership can be taught and you can develop your leadership skills. Leadership is a soft skills. And that's what I told the person. Yes, you can develop your leadership skills. Of course, it's much more difficult to develop leadership skills because your leadership will be influenced by your emotional intelligence, for how you can collaborate with your team, how you can communicate, and a lot of behavior stuff that's usually much more challenging to modificate. That's not feasible, but of course you are going to need to put more effort on that one. Then learning Excel. Learning Excel, if you get the exercise, you can do that in few hours, at least to a level that's considered reasonable there. You, of course, you're not going to be the expert, but you can get to a very decent level in a couple of days with the proper use of Excel there. So understanding soft skills and hard skills are quite important. If you look for any project management position, every time you're going to see soft skills and every time you're going to see hard skills. What's interesting, what you do there, confirm which are the hard skills that you have because that's very easy to prove. For example, I want someone with engineering background. Usually it's a hard requirement. Why? Because in the engineering, it's something easy to prove, but also that usually associated with a lot of different hard skills. You can develop technical knowledge and so on. That will help you there. While with the soft skills I've already mentioned, it's going to be difficult to measure there. Keep in mind again, a project manager without a hard skill is not going to be successful. Why? Because only soft skills, they are not going to help you dealing with your team, organizing your team, guiding your team, making sure that you have a clear direction, that you have a clear goal. Very nice to, of course, very important to have emotional intelligence there, but you need to have the hard skills. Only your hard skills, they're not going to make you to succeed. I've seen all types of project managers with only soft skills and only with hard skills. If you have only hard skills, probably you're going to make a mess with your team. People will get annoyed with you, and your team is not going to perform. So keep in mind that those are complementary skills by nature. For project management, you need both. Of course, you can develop and you can prioritize. Depending when you are in your journey, you say, okay, focus a bit on your soft skills. If you are starting, start by focusing on your hard skills. Usually, if you are doing that in a right way, while you develop your hard skills, you're also going to be able to develop your soft skills. Why? Because if you're working, say, I'm working, I want to develop my Microsoft projects. You can develop, of course, the hard skill itself, but depending how you are interacting with other team members in this learning process with MS project, that will help you to develop also your soft skills. So something that's also very important. So when you are looking to develop yourself, make sure you balance both. That's why, for example, in my programs, I have a project management development program. I tackle both. I give material for preparation, for study, and for development for both. That's a quite important thing here. And of course, I mentioned that with the soft skills, you need some follow up, and that's also, of course, why in my project management development program, I have like a 1 year program where we have Q&A and possible support there. How do you start to develop your soft skills? Well, I mentioned a lot of stuff for your soft skills, of a lot of examples from leadership, communication, uh, teamwork, emotion and intelligence, adaptability. Oh, the first step to develop with your soft skills is reflection. Why reflection? If you look a bit, what's emotional intelligence there? Emotional intelligence is a combination of awareness with action. Awareness, understanding how you are affecting other people, how other people are affecting you, and how you're reacting in all kinds of different situations. Because this awareness will enable you to take the actions there. So, if you want to develop your soft skills, a very good and important step is start to work on your emotional intelligence there. Basically, I've already mentioned here that emotional intelligence is awareness plus action, but you can look in four dimensions that you have for your emotional intelligence. The first one is self-awareness, how you affect other people and how other people affect you. Self-management, think before you act. Think before you react. That's very important. Social awareness, how you're affecting other people, if you are empathetic there, if you are listening to your teams, to your peers, and of course the social skills, how you're going to relate with other people, manage your attitude and so on. But all those things is they're a combination of awareness and action. And where, if you want to develop your emotional intelligence, what's the first step that you need to start to work on? First step to start to work on your emotional intelligence, it's your mindset. Why your mindset? Because if you do not work on your mindset, the way you act when you react with other people will not change. So you need to start to work on your set of beliefs, on your mental framework to be able to self-manage. Let me put this in a simple example. Let's assume someone in your team and say something to you that you don't like it, that kinds of annoy you. How you're going to react with that? If you think this person shouldn't have done that, now I'm going to show to him or her, and you go and you do that, then you're not self-managing yourself. You're not controlling yourself. You're not controlling your reaction. Because first you start to think about, now this person, I'm going to show to this person, instead of building up a negative story in your mind. You can say, okay, maybe the way that the information was delivered to me was not the best one, but how I'm going to react, I can choose how I'm going to react. That's a very important decision and very important set of beliefs that you need to have, because that kind of thing will start to enable your awareness. Well, if you can choose how you react, you can get any type of input. Then you're going to see, okay, how does it make me feel? And before you act, before you do something, you can decide what kind of action that you're going to take. So your mindset is the stepping stone of your emotional intelligence, if you want to put like that. And your emotional intelligence will be one of the foundations to develop all other types of soft skill there. And I'm going to talk more about that during the project management summit. But it's very important that you have this idea here, because of course I can fully teach you the hard skills, and usually what differentiate the professionals, it's not only the hard skills. And of course that's also a bit the challenge that companies and organizations they have. Teaching hard skills, it's usually much easier than teaching soft skills. And assessing those things to hire someone, it's easy to assess a hard skills. It's very difficult to assess a soft skill in an interviewing process there. So that's the type of the challenge. That's why when companies understand they find someone with good soft skills, this person usually have a lot of possibilities to develop hard skills to be able to grow in their career. So that's a very interesting step that you can look into your career. But everything will start with your mindset. Because in the end, your mindset will influence your emotional intelligence, it will influence how you're going to work into your habits and everything else that you do there. So to avoid that you end up in a situation where you say, I have all the hard skills, but I don't have any soft skills, because if you get in that situation, you're not going to be able to grow into your career, to go for bigger projects, to take more projects, to get positive feedback from your team, from your manager. So keep that in mind. This is quite important. And this emotional intelligence quadrant here, it's quite important, quite relevant that for you. I do recommend that you learn more on that one. As I already mentioned during the project management summit, we are going to talk more about those things. Because in the end, if you only develop your hard skills, uh, that's of course it's important, but that by itself it's not going to be enough to make you a successful project manager. So if you want to be a successful project manager, what's a successful project manager? If you want to manage more bigger projects, by bigger I mean can be budget, number of people, more challenging projects, or with high visibility into a company. If you want to have a better work-life balance, you also need a soft skill to have a better work-life balance there. Why? Because only with good leaderships, and also of course with the right mindset, also to work into your habits, that you are going to be able to work in an effective way to make sure that you can deliver the results without working yourself to death. So this is how important the soft skills is, how important the emotional intelligence. So if you look this, you can look in different layers. You can look for the layer you have the soft skills and hard skills. Important to develop your soft skills. You need to have your emotional intelligence. Then you remember emotional intelligence coming awareness and action. And the layer below that, you need to develop your mindset. And I'm going to talk about mindset, of course, in the Project Management Summit, because this is a very important, the mindset in the end, it's the fundamental layer that will help your emotional intelligence, but also will impact in how you can develop your hard skills. So keep that in mind. Very important what we are going to discuss there. Again, this content here is part of the Project Management Summit, free event with a certificate. I'm going to give 3 very complete classes to help you to develop your project management skills there. With extra material you can study, with extra material exercises, and of course you can always ask questions here or on my Instagram page. Keep that in mind, because that's what's going to help you to move forward with your career. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for the Project Management Summit in the link here, or if you're watching this on Instagram, on the link on my bio on Instagram. Again, don't forget to like and share to make sure that this content can reach more people and more people can learn about project management, but also that helps me and my channel to grow, and I really appreciate that. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. Again, comments in the questions here, or you can go send me a direct message on Instagram on my Q&A box. Thank you and see you soon. Bye.